Hello aspirants, welcome to PW OnlyIAS. I'm here Harpreet Singh with the daily analysis of the Hindu from 14th of December 2024. So this is the QR code of the Telegram account where you can basically find this particular PDF along with other material that is required for your preparation. So what all topics have we taken for today's analysis? First, Global Status Report on Drowning Prevention. Very interesting report, and there's a possibility that this name itself can be asked, that which organization has published this report and certain aspects associated with that. Along with it, Section 69 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and Disease X. Then we have the National Conference of Chief Secretaries, Akal Takht, National Panchayat Awards, and Yuva Sahakar scheme. So these are all that we have to study in today's analysis. Let's begin. Main topics. A very interesting article that was published in today's newspaper, which says 30 people drowned per hour in 2021, according to World Health Organization. Now, please remember, in your prelims itself, they can ask you the Global Status Report on Drowning Prevention was published by which organization? One can put World Meteorological Organization, International Meteorological Organization, or let us say World Health Organization, or IMF, or World Bank. They can put anybody. But the thing is, it has been published by World Health Organization. So this is something important. Now, what comes important over here is, please see, this particular article basically publishes the statistics that every hour such large number of people are drowning and dying because of drowning. So this is something, a very interesting report that we do not generally come across. So that is why it becomes important for your civil services also. Let us see what it is. Global Status Report on Drowning Prevention 2024 by World Health Organization. So I came across this completely report, I downloaded it, and there are certain executive summary that was associated with it. Now see, in this particular report, firstly, it is a summary. Few details should be known by you. So the first ever World Health Organization Global Status Report on Drowning Prevention reveals that estimated 300,000 drowning deaths occurred globally in 2021. So Western Pacific region and Southeast Asian region account for the greatest number of drowning deaths. So you would have seen very often, whenever the case of high tides is there's an announcement made by the Mumbai authorities also that you should not go near the coastal regions during that time. But you see, every time when the announcement is made, in spite of the warnings, people tend to stand close to the coastal regions. And then what happens? The waves come, they hit you and take you along with them. And many people die because of that. And similar instances happen in other regions also. So each representing 28% of the global drowning, while African region has the highest drowning death rate, because over there, political instability, lack of infrastructure again, or let us say absence of the guards over there along the coast in order to prevent any such instance also tends to increase the number of people drowning in the African region. So this is something that was mentioned in the report. Then along with it, please realize, since 2000, the global drowning death rate has fallen. This is interesting because with time, the deaths along the coast and because of drowning have decreased because awareness has increased. So this is something interesting. Though it is high, but it has fallen. This is again one of the statements that can be asked in your prelims itself. While decline has been seen in all regions, it varies widely. For example, drowning rates decreased by 68% in the European region, by only 3% in the African region. So important thing, the deaths due to drowning have globally decreased. Though still they are high, but globally decreased. But the decrease rate is higher in the European regions. In the African region, it has been low. So this can be asked in your prelims also, that there has been an increase in the drowning rate. No, there has been a decrease, but rate will vary. Drowning deaths remain tragic and preventable public health crisis, and decline seen in the past 2 decades fall short of what is needed from the expectations that the World Health Organization has. So they say there has been a decline in the deaths due to drowning, but still it is high. That is why steps need to be taken. Now, along with the executive summary, please see there are certain things. You don't have to go into details. Whatever is mentioned in the blue, you should be having a brief idea of that. See, the children and young people bear the largest burden. Why? Because the younger ones are the ones who probably do not know how to swim also. They are not aware also. Let us say 2-year kid, 3-year kid, they are more susceptible to these drowning deaths. While young also, because you see the skill or adventurism being in their minds, so they tend to go along to the coast even when there is high tide instances there. So we realize that children and the young people bear the largest burden. Second, low and middle income countries remain the worst affected. The countries which are lower income and the middle income are the ones where the drowning deaths are even higher. You saw in the case of Africa also, which has very large number of drowning deaths, because again the lower and the middle income countries are basically in large number over there, and the decline in the drowning deaths is also lower there. So again, this instance is here. Governance and coordination of drowning prevention is absent in many countries. Now, what happens is, we have various authorities in various countries globally, like police taking care of the law and order situations. Then you might countries in the higher sea region, you have the coastal guards. But possibly when it comes to the coastal regions where such instances happen, we realize that there is no effective force over there in order to deal with the crisis if any drowning actually happens. So there is lack of coordination within the government agencies that who will be responsible for taking care of these instances. Under normal circumstances, the police should be, but it is not only the duty of the police. That is why we realize there is absence of coordination in the various countries, particularly in the countries like Africa and other Southeastern Asian regions. Next, fourth, legislation remains an underutilized tool to drowning prevention. Now see, this point says there is no proper legislation which is basically creating measures for preventing of the drowning deaths across the countries. There might be generic explanation that one should be take care of the instances during the time when executive orders are given by the magistrate, or let us say even the municipal corporation, but no specific provisions are there. And that is why we realize that there is an underutilization or non-utilization of any law that is basically present, because the law does not correctly define it only. Next is other community-based drowning prevention are not prioritized. Now, Lee, understand this. When you come across the regions who are, let us say, dominated by communities which are inherently fishermen, you'll be realizing over there the number of drowning deaths would be very less, because the children over there from a very young age are taught how to swim, right? That is why, similarly, please remember, when we are talking about the instances where police has to be responsible or this body has to be responsible, we have to have measures or drills based on community participation, where, let us say, community itself can participate, or people living along the coastal regions can also be active participant. In case of someone is in crisis, they can be there to help. That is why you realize in cases of Kerala, there was a case study wherein the instances of drowning are very less over there. Why? Because the coastal regions, the people who are staying there, fishermen, are very vigilant about their any situation like that happening, and they immediately go to the sea and basically protect the person. That is why you see the instances of drowning happening less in Kerala, because the community participation is high, while in the other regions it is relatively higher where the community participation is less. So these are the things that the report said. Now, what shall be done? Investing in drowning prevention is critical to preventing millions more deaths by 2050. So what is the suggestion that is being made? The suggestion is being made that proper, let us say, please see here, proper infrastructure, proper policies, proper standard operating procedures should be there, accountability should be there, along with it, proper demarcation of funds. Demarcation of funds should be there. This is what is required in order to have a proper framework to preventing the drowning deaths in India and for that matter globally. This was an important topic. This is something new because this is for the first time that a report has come out, and there's a great possibility that in the prelims it can be asked, or even in the mains, just to twist your leg or twist your arm, UPSC can ask something related to this report. Let's move ahead. Naughty promise of Section 69. Now, this sounds very, very interesting by Section 69. Now, this is very, very interesting when we talk with respect to the recent instance of an AI engineer committing suicide. You would have seen yesterday we covered the aspects of, are the laws biased? Are they biased in favor of the women? And we discussed about that. I gave you various laws, various examples also there, that this is the example, this is the example. Similar instance, please understand, is the Section 69, because we know that Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita has come up now as a major backbone of the criminal judiciary, the criminal legal system. So over here, Section 69 is very interesting. Let us see that and analyze it. So the next topic over here is Section 69. Very interesting. Now over here, please understand this, the naughty promise of Section 69. It sounds very interesting, but it is not so interesting. The reason behind it is that recently when we saw or came across the artificial intelligence engineer basically committing suicide, that is why such articles related to those cases or sections where women are being given some special status which might be misused by women, are coming into the newspapers again and again. That is why this Section 69 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita becomes important for us to analyze. See here, and then we analyze it. Now, this is from the Government of India's website. Over here, see. Whoever, what does Section BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Section 69, what does it say? Whoever by deceitful means, we'll understand what deceitful means. Whoever by deceitful means or making promise to marry a woman without any intention of fulfilling the same and has sexual intercourse with her, such sexual intercourse not amounting to an offense of rape shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. Now understand, one thing over here, deceitful, will basically means making a false promise. Let us first see with the meaning of deceitful, then we'll understand. Deceitful means shall include false promises of, let us say, employment or promotion or inducement or marriage or of after suppressing the identity. Now please understand what it means. Supposingly a man promises a girl that he is going to marry a girl, right? Now what happens, he is basically, according to the law, is making a false promise and he has sexual intercourse with a girl and later on says that I will not marry you. Then what will happen? It will not amount to rape, but under this section he can be imprisoned for 10 years and a fine because he made a false promise of marriage to a particular woman. Now the problem over here, please understand, is, see, this case, imprisonment which may extend to 10 years, important thing. Next is cognizable. That means over here we have further aspect that how law can be basically favoring the women over here also comes into limelight, because we see that it is cognizable and also non-bailable, and also trial by the court of session court will take place, but again it is non-bailable. So what is happening over here in this particular case is that how will you distinguish that a relationship in which a man and a woman have been broke up because of, let us say, certain fight that took place between them and they are not in, let us say, in good terms. But a girl can file a case saying that he promised me that he is going to marry me. Do you realize this particular case? That means anybody who comes to a relationship also with a woman, the girl can later file a case in the court saying, or let us say in the police station, saying that he promised me that he will marry me and he has not married me and we have had a sexual intercourse because he promised me. In this particular case, it is not rape because it was consensual, but it will end up him in jail with a term of at least, with a term of maximum of 10 years. This is what we call as one of those examples where inclination towards a woman or favoritism towards a woman is being observed. Many will say that it is good or for the protection of the women. Yes, it is. But what this article over here deals with is something that it can be misused. Now, please understand. Let's see. Key elements of section 69. The section 69 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita introduces several key elements that distinguishes it from the previous laws that were present. First is false promise of marriage concept. Over here, law clearly states that if an individual makes a false promise of marriage and induces another person into sexual relationship based on that promise, it constitutes a criminal offense. That means, according to this, if you're making a false promise, but the problem again lies, how will you distinguish between false and a true promise, but later ended up in a breakup? But leaving that apart, false promise, at the moment if it is assumed or clear that it was a false promise and you have a sexual intercourse with a girl, it is a boy who will be charged with a criminal offense. Right? Next, intent to deceive. The provision emphasizes the intent of the accused. That means intent is important here. If it is proven, again, if it is proven that the promise of marriage was made with the intent to deceive, that means to not abide by the promise, that means deceit, then accused can be held criminally liable. Over here again we say that it has to be proven that he made a false promise. But again, what happens? It becomes very difficult to say that he did not make a promise, because the onus will lie on the side of the man to prove that his intent was true and not false. Punishment. The law prescribes stringent imprisonment of to 10 years for those found guilty under this section. Fourth, protection of consent. By criminalizing the deceitful inducement into sexual relationship, section 69 seeks to protect the integrity of consent. Consent means, that means the partners are agreeing to come into a sexual relationship. That means they're both agreeing, that is consent. But the problem again would be many. This is what is the section 69 that deals with. So this is the interpretation. This is what the section was. Now comes the problem. First, patriarchal presumption and constitutional conflict. The section assumes that it is the man who will make a false promise. You realize this? See here. First is patriarchal presumption. It is assumed that the false promise if made would be by the man. What if the instance over here, a woman makes a false promise? Does that protect a man? No, it does not. So over here it is assumed that the false promise would be made by the man only and he will deceit. If, for example, a girl says that she will marry and because of that the boy is with the girl, but later on the girl deceits the boy cannot file a case under this section. That is why patriarchal presumption. Why constitutional conflict? Because it is against the right to equality. Against right to equality under Article 14. Now, equality is one of the basic principles with respect to the constitutional. Equality before law and equal protection of law is something that is in the Article 14, the spirit of the Constitution. But over here, why is this biasness being there is very important over here, right? Next, blurred boundaries of consent and ambiguous punishment. See here, blurred boundaries of consent over here. Over here means how is it going to be proven that he said that it is a casual relationship, or it is, let us say, a relationship in which the marriage promise was made or not made? How will the court find out? That is what is interesting over here. Consent means that both are agreeing to sexual intercourse. Fine. But how will the court find out that it was whether it is a casual relationship or a false promise with respect to marriage? Now, this is what is interesting. How will the court find out regarding that? Right? So, and along with it, how will the court differentiate that it was a relationship that was fine, but some fight took place which resulted in a breakup? How will that differentiate in case a breakup takes place? Breakup takes place. Over here, everything was going fine, but breakup took place because of whatever be the reason. In these particular cases, if the girl says that he is basically should be charged under this section, where will the boy go? That is what creates an issue. Next is the ambiguous punishment. It says that up to 10 years. How is the court going to decide whether it is 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 8 year, 10 year? Do you realize the ambiguity that is present with respect to this law? Supposingly, if you say the girl was with a boy in a relationship for 6 years, does it mean that the boy will land up in 6 years imprisonment because the relationship basically broke up? That is why again we realize that ambiguous punishment up to 10 years under section 69. Next is promise and prejudice, misuse of law and exclusion. Please see, exclusion over here is of the man. And misuse is again very important because we saw in the case of example of recent instance of the death of the AI engineer, where the wife had basically filed false cases against the AI engineer, which is again being said by this particular case. We cannot charge a particular woman right now, but he had alleged that false cases were filed against him. So the problem here arises is again this law can be misused. So that is why we realize whenever laws are made, we need gender neutral laws, where if a man can face issues, women can face issues, a man can also face issues. So the instance of way forward is gender neutral laws is what is the need of this particular time, in which where the socio-economic status is improving. Women are also actively in the economic field. They are also empowered to, relatively empowered to what they were during the independence. And now we realize that we should be focusing along with the protection, but also with the equality being important. Let's move ahead. What is disease X and why the world should prepare for it? Disease X, please understand. See, disease X is a hypothetical term introduced by the World Health Organization in 2018. Now see, it refers to unknown pathogens capable of causing global epidemic or pandemic. This basically, when we realize that the term disease X came in 2018, that time COVID had not come. So World Health Organization came with a concept that this is one disease X which is not identified right now, let us say randomly. And this disease, if comes in the world, can create a havoc by creating large-scale pandemics. So after that, we realized in 2020, we came across COVID. So COVID was, when it was not known, we declared it's like a disease X. That means which can cause widespread havoc, loss of life, and problems for the whole world. That is why this is a hypothetical term. So origin, The term gained relevance after 2014 when Ebola outbreak in West Africa, which revealed the gaps in the pandemic preparedness. The disease embodies both unknown threats we are aware of but do not fully understand, and unknown threats which we aren't aware of. That means disease X includes a word. It can include diseases about which we don't know anything. We do not know even 1% or even less than 1%. We don't know anything about that disease, like COVID. On the other hand, it might include those diseases where we know something about them, but we do not know to what extent problems that they can create, as we saw in the case of Ebola also, right? The disease X. Now, causes, it can be anything for that matter. That is why WHO has categorized into various cases. Pathogenic types could be a virus, could be a bacteria, parasite, fungi, prion, or any other organism. Zoonotic spillover, that means that you gain a disease because of which is transferred from an animal, right? So worst or the most emerging diseases originate from the animals, often due to deforestation, animal encroachment, agriculture intensification. Other risks can be antimicrobial resistance, gas leak, bioterrorism, climate change, and various dimensions associated. For example, in climate change, we realize that there are going to be thousands and thousands, even millions in number, the bacteria or various disease-causing bacteria that might be frozen in the Arctic Sea, in the ice cover over there. If ice melting takes place, possibly again we can see those diseases which might have existed thousands of years back again become prevalent or relevant in today's world. So that is why climate change is also something very problematic that might lead to problems in future. Next, challenges in predicting the disease X. Unpredictable factors. Emergence depends upon the various factors, including zoonotic diseases, pathogen mutations, deliberated biological threats, because we do not know who our enemy is. We do not know how it is going to come. So that is why we realize that unpredictable factors can be there. Next, climate change impact, alter diseases transmission from one body to another. And along with it, I've given the example of the Arctic Sea also. Limited knowledge, only a fraction of potential human infecting viruses is something that we know about. We do not know other various thousands and thousands of viruses that might be existing, which might impact us very badly, adversely in the future. Then technological advances, tools like genomic sequencing, artificial intelligence, all these things might also result in various technological innovations at a genetic level, which might lead to some mutations and creating certain problems or mutations in the, let us say, bacteria, which might lead or cause to certain diseases among the human beings. So that is also one of the reasons that we come across. Next, prelims topics. Prime Minister to chair National Conference of the Chief Secretaries today in New Delhi. We saw the Inspector General and DGP conference taking place in Bhubaneswar. Now it is a Chief Secretary. So Chief Secretaries are the highest IAS officer in a particular state. Like we have the highest IAS officer position that anybody can hold in India is a Cabinet Secretary of India. That is at the all India level. At the state level, it is a Chief Secretary, right? So Prime Minister to chair the 4th National Conference of Chief Secretaries on the 14th and 15th of December. What is the theme? Promoting entrepreneurship, employment and skilling, leveraging the demographic dividend. That means over here, the focus has been that the Chief Secretary should be involved in how you can best use the demography of your state and skill them to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, right? Now, please understand, the 3-day conference will be held from 13 to 15, will emphasize on evolution, implementation of common development agenda, blueprint for cohesive action in partnership with the states. So what is the aim over here? Holistic development, where we see entrepreneurship being boosted, skill development being there, creation of sustainable employment opportunities. Overall, in every state is what is the aim of this conference is, how the performances of the states have been. The states will learn from each other's best practices and they can implement in their states. Major aspect is how to leverage the demographic dividend. Demographic dividend means that when we talk about the population, we realize that how can this human resource can be best used for the economic development of the country. And we know that by 2042, we will be at a stage where maximum number of young population are going to be there in a country. And after that, we'll be realizing that slowly the fertility rate is also decreasing. So that number of people will decrease who are young. That is why we are focusing on reaping the demographic dividend by skilling, entrepreneurship, so that people come into the workforce, and they not only helps in their family development, personal development, but also the development of the country as a whole, because you will be contributing to taxes as well as spending some money in the markets, or let us say on yourself. That will again help in the economy to move further. So that is why it is important that the demographic dividend is reaped. That is why this session is taking place. Now please see, under this theme, special emphasis will be given in 6 areas: manufacturing, services, rural non-farm, urban, renewable energy, and circular economy. Now, these are the areas that have been identified where special discussions with respect to every state is going to take place. 4 special sessions will be held. One on Vikasit Bharat, that means developed country, which we are aiming to be India developed nation by 2047. So discussion on that. Developing cities as economic growth hubs, economic reforms in the states for investment, and capacity building through Mission Karma Yogi. So these are the things that will be discussed in this particular conference of the chief secretaries. Okay, beyond faith, Akal Takht. Now let us understand the concept. See, in Sikhism, you have 5 takhts. Now the word takht means throne. Now you would be realizing that Sikhism, again, we should be understanding that you cannot separate political decision making or decision making from religion completely in India, because in India we follow the concept of dharma. Similarly, there are various decisions with respect to any conflict or problems that Sikhism faces. There are certain decisions which might be taken by certain gurudwaras which have been given special significance because of their historical relationship. Because of that, 5 takhts were created. Now, all these takhts have close relationship with the history of certain gurus. And among these 5 takhts or decision-making authorities, Akal Takht is considered the supreme. That means the other takht also have to abide by the decision of Akal Takht, that is at the Golden Temple. Now see, what are the 5 takhts? There are 5 takhts. These takhts are the 5 gurudwaras which have very special significance for the Sikh community. Akal Takht Sahib, Eternal Throne. This is a part of the Golden Temple complex in Amritsar. The foundation was laid by Guru Har Gobind Ji, the 6th Guru of the Sikhs. Then we have the Takht Shri 𝐂𝐻𝐺 Sahib. It is situated at Anandpur Sahib in Punjab. It is a birthplace of the Khalsa Panth, which was founded by Guru Gobind Singh in 1699. Then third Takht, Takht Shri Damdama Sahib, that is Damdama Sahib. It is in Talwandi Sabo near Bhatinda. Guru Gobind Singh stayed here for about a year and compiled the final edition of Guru Granth Sahib that we basically know now. Takht Shri Patna Sahib, it is situated in Patna city. It is a place where Guru Gobind Singh was born. Then you have Shri Hazur Sahib in Nanded, Maharashtra. It is a place where Guru Gobind Singh took his last breath. So these are very important gurdwaras with respect to the Sikh religion, and they have been given special status with respect to any conflict that arises within the Sikh religion or decision has to be made. Then heads of all these takhts can be called and decision making can be done. But we should understand, among all these takhts or decision making authorities within the Sikh religion, Akal Takht is considered the supreme. That is why a decision taken by Akal Takht is binding on the other takhts also. Now see, Akal Takht, historical significance. Akal Takht was established in 1606 by Guru Har Gobind, the 6th Sikh Guru, in response to this execution of his father, Guru Arjan Dev, who was a 5th Guru, who was basically ordered by the Mughals to be killed because he did not abide by the decision of adopting Islam. Now what happened? Takht is a Persian word which is basically known as imperial throne. Throne over here means decision-making authority. Akal Takht is located in the Golden Temple complex facing the Harmandir Sahib. Harmandir Sahib is the main Golden Temple Gurdwara complex that we talk about. Created as a response to the Mughal oppression, Akal Takht became a symbol of Sikh sovereignty and resistance, serving as a platform of governance and justice. So what happened? Because the Mughal during that time, various rulers under the Mughal rule basically misused their power. A lot of killings of the various other religions also took place. So over here, a throne was created where decision making with respect to Sikh religion would take place, and along with it, a symbolic value that we as a religion are there to fight against any oppression that is done by the Mughal rule. That is why this Akal Takht was created, and it is a seat of justice, not only for the Sikh religion, but also anyone else who comes there and needs some guidance or let us say help from the Sikh religion. That is why this Takht or throne was created. Now see, symbolism. The Guru requested two swords. Guru Har Gobind requested two swords. One is Miri, that is temporal power, and other is Piri, spirituality. So what happens is, for a Sikh person, when you talk about Miri and Piri two sword, it means that every Sikh is like a Sikh saint soldier. You have to keep the spirituality and the religious aspect along with you, and along with it, let us say, you should be aware of protection of your religion and protecting the others also who come in need. That is why this Miri Piri concept came, and that is why the Akal Takht was created as a body that would be making decisions to protect the Sikhism, along with it the people who are in need and the people who come there in case of some help from the Sikh religion. Akal Takht features a high throne 3 times taller than the maximum height of the Mughal sovereignty. So where the king or the Mughal king used to sit in a seat, this is 3 times at a higher height than the Mughal throne. That is why this was created as a challenge to the Mughals, that you are though ruling, but you are ruling with, let us say, cruelty and injustice. So we are here to counter you. That is why the Akal Takht was created, to counter them. Its altitude surpasses the Mughal throne balcony in Delhi's Red Fort, symbolizing definancing against the Mughal rule and asserting Sikh sovereignty. That means we are there to fight against you. We have placed a throne higher than yours, and now what you can do. This was a challenge to the Mughal rule. Next, spiritual and temporal authority. Akal Takht is one of the 5 Takhts, as we have seen, seats of power in Sikhism, but holds the highest position due to the dual authority. Over here, please remember, as this highest position over here means that among the all Takhts, every Takht makes its decisions, but Akal Takht's decision is the highest, and every Sikh has to abide by that. Over here, remember, the tradition of issuing hukumnamas began here. Please understand what hukumnama means. Every day in the morning, because Sikhs treat the Guru Granth Sahib as a living Guru. So when during the morning, the concept is known as Prakash. Prakash means that you place a Guru Granth Sahib Ji at the Gurdwara and you open a random ang. In Sikhism, we do not call it as page, we call it as ang because it is treated as a living Guru. So when we open it, the first ang that comes, whatever that randomly a ang is opened, or a page as we can say is opened, and you read it, that is known as a hukumnama. That is assumed that is given by the Guru. That is known as hukumnama. So whatever teaching in that Guru Granth Sahib would be, the first any random ang or page is opened and read it. That is known as hukumnama. That means the Guru has given us a hukum or an order that you should follow. Next comes the 2 panchayats from Anakpali district to receive national awards. So that is why we have the National Panchayat Awards. See, National Panchayat Awards 2024, Ministry of Panchayati Raj is a nodal ministry for that. And objective is to assess the performance of the panchayats in attainment of the sustainable development goals and promotion of competitive spirit among them. That means how the performance of the panchayat have been, are they working towards achieving of the sustainable development goals and the policies of the government of India. Best performers are given award in this, basically, national awards. See, awards have been conferred under the following categories. Deen Dayal Upadhyay Panchayat Satat Vikas Puraskar. Now this is basically award for the top 3 ranking GP or equivalent Gram Panchayats equivalent bodies for outstanding performance in each of the mentioned themes that is present over here. Nanaji Deshmukh Sarvatham Panchayat Vikas Puraskar. This 2 over here also provides based on the performance that are there. Gram Urja Swaraj Vishesh Puraskar. Again, you don't have to remember them. A brief idea is there that these are the awards under which are given. Carbon Neutral Vishesh Panchayat Puraskar with respect to 0 carbon emissions. That means who all can reduce the carbon emissions at the panchayat level. Panchayat Kishamta Nirman Sarvottam Sansthan Puraskar. Then again, those who have done well in the sustainable development goals, they are awarded this award. So brief idea should be in there. You don't have to learn them because it is very difficult for you to remember also. Then significance, These are in alignment with the 9 localization of the Sustainable Development Goals under the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So that means this is basically aiming at what the Sustainable Development Goals aims have been. All those who are fulfilling them, based on those awards are provided. Simple, right? Next. Yuva Sahakar scheme, topic 7. Yuva Sahakar scheme, the last topic. Ministry is Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Implementation agency is National Cooperative Development Corporation, Ministry of Cooperation. Please understand there is a difference over here. Nodal ministry is Ministry of Agriculture. Implementing agency is Ministry of Cooperation. Aim to promote the formation of new cooperative societies and encourage innovative ideas among the young entrepreneurs in the field of agriculture. So over here, loan is provided, loan tenure, loan provided under the scheme in a long-term loan up to 5 years and an incentive is given. Then interest subvention of up to 2% is provided so that people opt for this loan, and means of loan they can basically improve, or let us say some capital investment can be made which will improve the technology at the agriculture level. Subsidy integration, loan can be combined with the subsidies available with the other schemes. Incentivization provides more incentives to the cooperatives working in the northeastern region and aspirational districts. Funding, the scheme will be linked to 1,000 crore cooperative startup and innovation fund. So this is again very interesting over here. The funding of the project will be up to 80% of the project cost. Along with it, special categories will be against the 70 for the others. So what we realize over here, funding up to 80% is what you should remember. Because generally what happens is when we come across the concept of funding, if the funding is not adequate, people do not opt for the loan. So this aspect of 80% funding does make it more lucrative for the farmers to opt for the loans, which is again, there is interest subvention there, and which is aimed at an aspect where the loan would be used for further innovation in the field of agriculture. Let's move ahead. Multiple choice questions. Question number 1. Options. Answer. Question 2. Options. Answer. Question 3. Options. Answer. Question 4. Options. Answer. Question 5. Options. Answer. With respect to, we'll introduce one more thing also from next, from Monday onwards, we'll add a mains question also for your practice. So that will be an add-on which you want to practice, you can practice. If you want to take it as a question also, you can say, are the laws in India women biased? Critically examine. This can be the question for today. And from tomorrow, I'll be putting the question on the board. It's from Monday, I'll be putting the question on the board itself so that you can practice it and structure it. This was an analysis from today's newspaper. Hopefully you enjoyed it, liked it. Take care and Jai Hind.